The NBA teams who have lost in the first round, let me tell y'all something.
Ladies and gentlemen, introducing
Number one, the Detroit Pistons. Now, for a team who's been trashed for a really long time, I don't even know how long, you guys put up a real big fight against the New York Knicks. And I can't lie, we have to give you credit. Now, even though you did have all of us upset with the non-controversial call, which me personally, I really did not think that that was a foul, honestly. But you guys have put up a fight against the New York Knicks, but you guys definitely tried to cheat your way through you guys definitely tried to cheat your way through the series, and that's not how you win. And you guys honestly did a pretty good job. Now, honestly, that game six, you guys, actually not that game six, that game five, you guys actually did have me nervous. I can't lie. Because when you guys stole one at the Garden, I really thought you guys were actually going to somehow come back from the 3-1 lead. But that game six is where y'all fell apart. You guys were doing pretty good, honestly, and then you guys got the lead, and then Jalen Brunson put the dagger in all your hearts, and that's my captain right there. And there's nothing y'all can do about it. He's the clutch player of the year. You guys can't do nothing about that. But honestly, to the Detroit Pistons, you guys are a real great team. But there's certain things you guys have got to fix. Definitely late. You guys definitely did not have the opportunity to box out real well. You guys did not box out really particularly great. Your defense wasn't really too great, and you guys definitely couldn't score a lot of shots, but that's okay. But I feel like next year you guys are going to definitely have the opportunity to. So real hard-fought series from Detroit, and you guys have a lot to look at this offseason. Number two, the Los Angeles Lakers. Bro, LeBron tried, Luka cried. I don't even know a rhyme to fix that with, but you guys know where I'm going with that. But I can't lie, the Lakers were a little bit of a disappointment because a lot of people thought that they were going to be a real dangerous team going into this postseason. But you guys got killed by literally the 6th-seeded Minnesota Timberwolves when Anthony Edwards gave y'all a run for his money, and you guys allowed Rudy Gobert to really dominate y'all in the paint that game. I believe that game 5. So that's definitely a real big disappointment for y'all because you guys do not have a rim protector. And that's something Anthony Davis really provided for y'all when he was there, because Luka's not a rim protector. He's a great scorer, but he kind of did have a little fault in shooting, even though he still got up his buckets, but it wasn't enough for the team at all. So definitely for the Lakers, they definitely got a lot of stuff to figure out, and they don't even know if LeBron plans on retiring literally after this year, because a lot of people have been saying their goodbyes already, and they don't really know what to expect from LeBron, because he's literally gonna be 41 this year or next year. So they definitely got to be careful with that. So I feel like even though they lost, they could potentially have an opportunity, but it depends if LeBron James doesn't play well. And that's something Nico Harrison kind of admired. He believed that defense wins championships, and that's something Luka couldn't provide to that franchise, and that's why they ended up trading him. And now you can see the look on Nico Harrison's face on like, yo, see, we really, yo was right, and you guys didn't want to listen to me at all, because we need defense. We don't need all that offense. But in reality, it really still doesn't matter, because you guys got your behinds whipped in the playing tournament. So it don't matter, bro. But really with the Lakers, they definitely had opportunities to win, and they just couldn't get it done. They were really close a couple of games, but they couldn't hatch out near the end, and they ended up getting killed. And we seen that kind of last year with the Denver Nuggets, and the year before in 2023, where they couldn't close out their games at all. They always ended up coming up close, and they couldn't get it done. So that's something the Lakers have definitely got to work on. They're really not a fourth quarter type of team, and they let the Minnesota Timberwolves have them, like, they let them give them a run for their money, and that's something that the Lakers are definitely upset with. And if you are a Laker fan, I'm not blaming you. I'm really upset too, because a lot of people actually had at least someone making the conference finals, because even though they weren't good in the beginning of the year, they ended up bouncing back because they added Luka Doncic on the team. But who knows? We'll see what happens this offseason, and we got to be really vigilant when we're watching all this stuff and seeing if LeBron has any goodbyes, because he could be gone. But Lakers, a little disappointment. Number 3, the Milwaukee Bucks. Now, honestly, I'm not really too upset with the Bucks, but there's one person in particular that I am upset with. So we know Giannis, he's really a game changer, and he's a guy who wants to win. And, Damian Lillard can't provide that to him. And I really thought that when they started bouncing up in the conference, Damian Lillard and Giannis were actually going to be a really spectacular duo, because in the years prior, we didn't really see such a great duo out of, the both of them at all. But then they started bouncing up. And then once Damian Lillard got hurt with the Achilles injury, which ended his season, Giannis had to take the whole objective by himself. And it was hard for him, because we know when they made that trade, Kyle Kuzma, he's not really like that. Let's be real. He's not like that at all. And he really couldn't really step up to the challenge. So when Dame goes out, Giannis takes full control of the team. And, he tried his hardest, his absolute hardest, to at least keep the Bucks in the series, but they couldn't do that. And it's crazy, because when Dame is healthy, they can win games. But when Damian Lillard is not healthy, then they can't win games at all. So Giannis is definitely, if you're Giannis Antetokounmpo, you're really upset. And, we've seen that when he was fighting with Tyrese Halliburton's father at the end of the game. And, yeah, and you're definitely upset. So we don't know if Giannis is going to be staying around for next year, because there's possible trade talks for him to be going to a lot of other options. And a lot of people were saying he could go to LA, but I really don't think that's going to happen at all. There's no way the Lakers are going to get Giannis, Luka, and Bron on the same team. That's just going to be a recipe for disaster, because super teams, they do not work at all. And, we can't really expect that at all. But there's a real great chance he could be out of Milwaukee by next year, by this offseason. Because, if you're Giannis, you're really upset, because you're giving your body, your sweat, your tears to this franchise. And the past few years, you've been a first rounder. You lost to Indiana for the second straight year. And honestly, if I was Giannis, I'm upset too, because me personally, I'm a big Indiana Pacers hater. So I really don't got to say nothing about it. Me personally, yeah, huge Pacers hater. Tyrese Halliburton, I'm a really big hater of him, honestly. Even though it's hard to really value his game, because, he does get on my nerves sometimes. But definitely, if you're Giannis, you're definitely really upset with that. But honestly, it can't be a big disappointment, because Giannis is giving his all. And Damian Lillard can't do that at all. He's literally getting old. He's hit or miss on a night-to-night basis. And he's constantly dealing with injuries. Yeah, you're really upset with that. So either Giannis is going to go, or Damian Lillard is going to go, because this duo does not work at all. So Milwaukee Bucks, not really. If you're Giannis, I'm not going to give you the LL. I'm just going to say, as a team, you guys didn't provide too much, and Giannis was pretty much giving it his all this whole series. Number 4, the Orlando Magic. Now, this was such a really young team, and honestly, I'm pretty surprised you guys were actually giving Boston a little bit of anxiety when you guys went to play them. Now, it's great you guys took a game off of them, because if you are the New York Knicks, you definitely want Orlando to tire out the Boston Celtics, because, the Knicks have to play them in the next round, and it's definitely going to be really tough for them, because the Celtics love to shoot threes. They're really big inside, and, you got to be careful with that. So definitely what we've seen from Orlando's defense, they were definitely clapping them up, but they couldn't do it enough as a team, because the Orlando Magic, they were really injury riddled this year, losing a bunch of guys. And, and when I did my predictions, I had them in at least top 5 or top 3 as, as a team. But, they definitely couldn't provide much this year, because they were all injured. And, when you've seen them play the Celtics, they were, at certain points, they were hitting a lot of shots, giving them the business, but then they couldn't close it out. And then Boston ended up blowing them out. They only won one game, and that was their home game, in which they hit the game winner. And they definitely could not contain Jason Tatum after he hit that big shot at the end of the game. So they definitely, the Orlando Magic have one of the best defenses in the league, and their defense is really strict and stiff. But the Celtics, they obviously looked at that as baby food, so you can't really say much about that. So now when they go play the New York Knicks, they definitely are gonna have an easier time because the Knicks defense isn't that great. So pretty much the Orlando Magic, it wasn't a big upset. I think a lot of people were expecting the Celtics to win this series, but the Orlando Magic, they tried and they at least put up a little bit of a fight. They were playing defense, and that's really what counts. And and you can see the stress and anxiety after Jason Tatum got hurt a little bit, and then he started hobbling, but then it didn't really matter because he ended up getting healthy again, and then he could perform all the way, and he hit that big shot at the end of the game because I think he really took that personally. So Orlando Magic is really not too much of a really big disappointment with y'all. So we can't really say much about that. But anyways, they have a lot of thinking to do this off season, and I think potentially they could be one of the best teams in the Eastern Conference in a few years. But we can't sleep on them. Number 5, the Miami Heat. I don't gotta say much for this one because we knew the Miami Heat was not winning this series, and they got swept, and honestly you can't even be mad at that. It's because they went through a lot this year. They lost Jimmy Butler, who's been like he was the spirit of the team, and now that spirit is just gone. And they really believe Andrew Wiggins is gonna take that role? No. Andrew Wiggins with Tyler Hero and Bam Adebayo, that just doesn't go well at all. Tyler Hero only had like 4 points, and like he was really an all-star this year. Are you serious? Like, that's absolutely ridiculous. Like, bro, you're too much of a decent player to be scoring 4 points. Like, all you did was cardio. Like, that's ridiculous. Like, you can't. It's your time now. Jimmy Butler's not here no more. It's your time to step up, hit shots, and pretty much carry the team. Bam Adebayo can't do it all by himself. And if he realizes you're scoring 4 points, then he might want out in a couple years too. Now, Andrew Wiggins, he also needs to step up with you because, he's not Jimmy Butler at all. Even though he's such a great shooter and he has opportunities to step up, he really needs to step up way more consistently than, he does. But also, you've been on this team for years, so you need to step up and you gotta at least put up a fight during playoff time. And we all knew they weren't going to beat the Cleveland Cavaliers. They were too much of a great scoring team, great inside, and they can just get the ball inside, put up layups, great team like that. And we knew that their defense wasn't good enough for that. Number 6, the Memphis Grizzlies. Oh my gosh. This was a kind of a little bit of a what if, because given the fact that they blew a 31-point lead against the OKC Thunder with only Ja Morant on the squad, and then he goes down, is crazy. Because Ja Morant, he is such a really great player. And, he's obviously went through a lot in his past. And, you got to really admire him for what he does for your team. But ever since he got hurt, they couldn't come back from what they had to offer. And they ended up getting swept. And honestly, they shouldn't have gotten swept in the first place because they should have had that game at least and made the series just a little bit more competitive. But Ja doesn't really have a great superstar next to him. Like, all he has is Zach Edey, who is great for defense, but he can like barely move, and he definitely is gonna have like a little bit of a hard time. So he definitely still has Jaren Jackson Jr. on his squad, but he definitely has to do more when he's out. And I understand it's tough for him because he's an okay defensive player, and he's a great defender, but it's hard to be a great defender when you literally have so many people on OKC scoring, like Shea. You got Lou Dort, you got what's his name, Jalen Williams, you got J-Dub, you got all these players, like just stepping up. So it's definitely really hard for him defensively on that team because he definitely cannot. It's hard for him because when Ja's out, you got to step up, and it's not easy for you to step up when you don't have your point guard with you because you don't really have other guys who can step up on that team. So I feel like the Grizzlies could have put up more of a fight if Ja Morant didn't get injured. So I think that's going to be they definitely have a lot of conversation doing, a lot of talk this off season, but I don't think there's going to be any major trades with them because I don't think they're going to be trading Ja Morant. That's just stupid because he literally brought them, at least made the series a little bit more competitive once he got like a little like before he got injured. So I think honestly they definitely have a lot to talk about because Ja did have those like slumps where he was trash this year, and that came at the end of this season where he fell off. But when it came playoffs, he was performing a little bit. And, he had to realize that, hey, I really got to stop joking around and I need to start performing and putting my team on my back. But once he got injured, it kind of all just fell apart and they got swept. So the Grizzlies have definitely got some talking to do, and they definitely got to remain healthy and, become a great contending playoff team if they want to make it far. Because this is like the third straight year they went outside. And, honestly, it's pretty disappointing. Number 7, the Los Angeles Clippers. Oh my goodness gracious. Now, a lot of people actually had these guys making it far because this is honestly the first time in a while that I've seen Kawhi Leonard actually play in a playoff series without sitting on the bench all day. And it's great that he was able to perform. Even though they got Ben Simmons and Ben Simmons is trash as ever, and, he can't really do much, James Harden and Ben Simmons, they have a little bit of chemistry. And we've seen that one game where they were able to feed the ball to each other, and they know how to play together because they were on Brooklyn together. But what really tore me off was the fact that James Harden really scored 7 points and had 5 rebounds in Game 7. Like, bro, every time we need you to perform at a very pivotal moment, you don't do that at all. And it irritates a lot of people. And we've seen this when he was with the Philadelphia 76ers, when they completely blew that 3-2 lead against the Boston Celtics. And he only scored, I believe, 11 points or something like that, or 9 points. And that's ridiculous. Like, every time we need you to step up in a very, important time, you don't do that, James Harden. And, you do this every single time. Like, when are you going to get out of that habit where you got to realize you need to perform in a Game 7 situation? Like, in Game 7s, you're not that great. Like, take it back to 2018. Like, when the Rockets missed, I believe, 27 straight three-pointers against the Golden State Warriors. Like, you need to compete and you need to be able to step up to the plate in moments like that. And if you're the Clippers, you're definitely upset because James Harden has been showing up a lot this year. He's been averaging at least 30 a game. And then all of a sudden you get to a Game 7 of a series and he came in and averaged 10 points. That's absolutely ridiculous. So I think that's one of the biggest issues with the Clippers is that you need James Harden to perform way better. And you need, everyone else to step up. Ben Simmons, I do not got to say anything about Ben Simmons. He's been horrible for years, okay? He can't make floaters. He can't shoot. He can't do any of that. Now, you are a pretty good passer. I'll give you that. But, bro, you need to do way, way more. And Kawhi Leonard, I like the fact that you're still in the series. I like the fact that you were performing instead of being on the bench. And we want to see you do that more. And, it was really tough to step up when James Harden didn't do his business at all. He wasn't cooking as he was cooking with James Harden. That didn't work. No. Clippers, disappointment. I don't got to say nothing about that. And the final team, the Houston Rockets. They have just lost to the Golden State Warriors in 7 games. Now, honestly, I really feel like it's been a really great series. And the fact that they were able to come back from that 3-1 deficit, but, they couldn't get it done. That's pretty hard to do when you gotta, really look at the Rockets like, hey, they could have had a chance, but, they didn't have that chance. So coming back from that 3-1 deficit definitely was a really great job from a young team that doesn't want to give up. But one thing that really irked my nerves was the fact that Jalen Green has to step up way more. He has to be way more consistent because there's no way you're too much of a great player to be averaging 9 points a game. You can't be doing that because I remember during years before and the last 15 games of the regular season, you would start performing and start doing great. We need you. Same thing with the James Harden in the Game 7 situation. You need to be more consistent than you are now. When you get in the playoff series, you need to perform. Ausar Thompson did his thing. Dylan Brooks did his thing, and we really didn't see much from Steven Adams. I think I said Dylan Brooks. I meant Alfred Sengun. Alfred Sengun stepped up, and you got to admire them for that. But Jalen Green is way too great of a player to be averaging 9 points a game. Start performing, bro. You are a pivotal key in that franchise. If not, you can sit his behind down and go ahead and put Cam Whitmore in the game. Why isn't he playing? That's my question. Bro, that's because we got Reed Shepherd and all them other guys. I don't mean Cam Whitmore should be playing because this guy, he is a problem. And, they could end up trading him this off season. if he doesn't like the team there. But you know, the thing is, when you have such a great young team with Ime Udoka as your coach, and you know you have the potential to be one of the best teams in the Western Conference one day, then you know it goes pretty well for you. But you know, we'll see, you know, how that goes. But I think the only issue right now is the Jalen Green, the efficiency is not there. You're too inefficient, and you know the consistency is not there because we need you to score way more points and at least be like a key player in that franchise if you're going to be starting. If you're starting over Cam Whitmore could be getting your buckets way more than you. So that's a really big issue that you're dealing with right now. And you really let Buddy Hield get 33 points against y'all. You let Steph Curry step up against y'all. And, you know, they definitely had a really hard time. And a lot of people knew the Warriors were definitely going to win this in terms of experience and Jimmy Butler on the squad. And a lot of people had the Warriors winning that game. So I think the Houston Rockets definitely can be one of the best teams if Jalen Green could stay consistent, and they could definitely make more shots because they're such a physical young team. You got to admire that from them. Same thing with Detroit. You got to admire those young squads because they're going to be the future of the NBA one day. But the Houston Rockets is really not a really big disappointment with y'all. The only big disappointment is Jalen Green not being consistent with y'all. So definitely, if Jalen Green could fix that consistency, then you guys could be one of the best teams. And, you know, they definitely need him to step up. And not just him, Steven Adams as well. Because if you're going to be a center for that squad, then you need to step up. And if you don't step up, then you're definitely going to start losing and losing and losing. And the Houston Rockets don't want that. And that's pretty much what they have going on right now. So it's not a really big disappointment with them. They just got to be more consistent. But it's great. You came back from the 3-1 lead. You couldn't close it out, but you were close to closing it out. So it's not a big disappointment from y'all. All right, you guys, that's it for today's video. Make sure you guys leave a like, subscribe, and I will get into the second round eventually. The Indiana Pacers already took a game off the Cleveland Cavaliers. And comment down below if you guys are nervous that Indiana could make the conference finals. Me personally, I'm not, because I'm a huge Pacers hater and I don't gotta worry about them. Honestly. But make sure you guys like and subscribe, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out.